It is a doubleheader weekend as the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series all head to Dover this weekend. We get you ready from a betting perspective next on the NASCAR Betting Preview Show. What is up, everybody? Welcome to the NASCAR Betting Preview Show. So happy to have you here tonight. Whether you're listening on YouTube, on In Between Media's page, make sure you like, subscribe, help them out. They're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, and we got some really cool things happening with them. I'll announce here in the middle of the show. And if you're listening on X, which is streaming right now, make sure you like and retweet so your followers and your fans can also interact with what we got going on today. Man, it feels like it's been so long since we've been able to do this here last time. And I just want to say, first and foremost, thank you for everybody out there understanding my absence over the last few weeks. The guys picked up the slack. Happy to announce back and really excited to dive into a couple things here tonight and hear what's been up with Ryan and Phil. And Mark, we're thinking of you as you're sick at home right now, but the party is going to keep going here tonight. So let's welcome on our panel here tonight. And I got to start with Phil, the Full Tank with Phil podcast. And Phil just dropped his episode here this morning. It was a great listen that I was able to capture already. And Phil, in that you said that you were returning from Phoenix and Scottsdale area. Congratulations. You said you won your tournament where you and your buddies go out and play. So I got to imagine that you're living a high right now.
Still living on a high note right now. I got the blue jacket placed on me on after the third day of the tournament, and it feels good. I got to prepare for my champions dinner for next year. I'm already working through the kitchen trying to figure what that's going to be, but it was a great time. Scottsdale's a great time. Had an unbelievable time and on the courses out there, and just a really good trip. The downside, took a red eye home. Arriving, I was like a 1 hour sleep. I completely forgot to put my grid rival lineup in, so I went from first place to fourth. So that, just letting the guys catch up on me a little bit. Just like when you're, got to put when playing the machine on like NHL or something growing up, you got to put it on easy mode for a little bit. So let them catch up, and we'll be back at it for sure this week. But great trip, great to be back though.
Well, I look forward to hopefully soon being able to play you now that you have a blue jacket. Would love to have you up here in my area and excited to hear about what dinner options you kind of have in store for the guys as you go next year. Yeah. So I want to now turn to Ryan Stevens. He's the CEO, creator, True Performance Ranks, wintherace.info. Ryan, how are you doing? It's been a while since we chatted last, and how's everything been going in your world?
Going good, man. Had a big hit for Talladega, got second place in the big FanDuel tournament, so that was fun.
Congrats.
Betting sucked. I only bet like 3 units, but lost them all. So it was just took some shots at some winners, didn't work out.
Yeah.
So but big hit on FanDuel, that was cool. Looking forward to it. Phil, actually, in the old NASCAR game, they had catch up. It was like you could put catch up on, and you would catch up if you got too far behind or whatever. That was the easy mode. So it literally was called catching up in a NASCAR game. So I think I was like NASCAR 98.
Well,
NASCAR 98. Yeah,
that's right. That's what I'm doing this week. So I did last week unconsciously. So
Nice.
I like it.
I'm pumped to get back to a regular race though. Like we don't see another drafting track now for a long, long time, for like 2 or 3 months. So
Daytona
be pretty cool.
Yeah, kind of mentioning that. So Daytona ends the regular season, which is a drafting track like Ryan's referring to, and then 2 weeks later they go to Atlanta right after Darlington. So a nice little sandwich there, and then Talladega then the month after. So we're going to get a nice break here, and that is one thing I do want to talk about, and we'll move into the ride or fade. The rapid fire segment here. But before I forget, I see so many people are tuning in, listening. Make sure you drop a comment. Would love to see who out there is listening. We'll get your comments up here, just kind of for everybody to see. Let us know as well. Like, what are you thinking on our side? What do you like? What do you don't like? But let's dive into the rapid fire, because there's some questions that I have for you guys, and Phil being one of them. I'll start with you first, and how we always do it, right, Phil? We always start out with who's going to finish better. So Ross Chastain or Martin Truex Jr. this weekend? Where are you leaning there?
Oh man, dude. I mean, shit. Well, I like Ross a lot this week. The speed that he's shown in the last 2 years, you're putting me in a pickle, man.
Always
you do this.
That's my goal.
If I'm getting
either this, or I thought he was going to lead off with another shit box, but at least these are two respectable.
We'll go respectable to start.
I like both of these guys for like different plays throughout. I figure we would probably talk about them throughout the episode, but if I have to be getting some odds for Ross in this one, I'd have to assume it's like plus something. In which case I'd probably go Ross, because he's been so just consistent with just the speed and the way he's been getting the finishes in the next year. So I'll go Ross in this rapid fire. What the hell?
I like the Ross play angle there as well. No rain anticipated for Sunday, so we know it's not going to be a Martin Monday, if you will. Next question then for you, Ryan. The All-Star race, they just announced some of the formats, some of the different things there. They're going to be running a whole a couple different compounds of tires. What's your thoughts on that? Is that something that you like seeing? Did you not know that, Phil?
Didn't see that news. No.
Yeah. Did you know that, Ryan?
I did. It'll be interesting to watch. Be very hard for anyone to place a bet. I mean, the All-Star race is hard to bet anyways, but unless you just know Larson's going to just beat the field down
Shit
again.
Pump
But
everyone.
I don't know. I think as a race fan, it'll be fun to watch the different strategies and see who takes what when you have to do the 4-tire stop. So, it'll be cool.
Yeah, so Phil, basically it's going to be, and anybody that doesn't know, it's basically going to be kind of like F1, where they have, different tire sets, and each of them means something different. So that's kind of be what it is. And I see Brian Twining reaching out saying that the All-Star race is a bye week for you, and it is for me as well. I will say this about Talladega, and I usually stay away from Talladega and Daytona. I've been doing that, been pretty good at that. But then, race day comes and it's like, oh, yeah, I can envision that guy winning, or I can see that guy winning. Well, this week I did nothing. I bet nothing. I lost nothing. I won nothing. So I felt alive to a degree. Just watching it as a fan it was great. So, Phil, my next question then for you, who's one driver that you feel the industry, just by maybe looking at Twitter, are maybe overvaluating this weekend?
I mean, maybe Larson, because he was so short to start. Plus 450 was pretty short. He's pretty good, but I would have expected Truex to be the favorite when they dropped the odds. That's just me, because Truex, he's either finishing first or second, or he gets into some trouble. Whereas the spectrum for Kyle Larson is also very good, like first to maybe like sixth is a good run for him. So I guess that's an answer for you.
Okay. I like it.
I thought that was a little short, and I didn't expect them to be top dog on the board.
Yeah. No, that's fine. I think that answer suffices for sure. Ryan, for you, we know the Fords have been struggling, not been in victory lane, but they just haven't performed well throughout. Do you think that turns around this weekend?
I do not. I'm mostly on I think it's just like a JGR versus HMS type of race. So I'm sure we'll talk about more things there as we go. And then obviously Chastain's like the favorite to sneak in and beat one of those guys.
Yeah, no, that's a good point then. I'm going to give you another one, Phil. It's not so much a ship box, but Bowman or Gibbs. Who finishes better this weekend? Bowman. That was easy. That was easy. Yep. That was quick.
I like Bowman.
That was rapid fire right there. I like that.
If you're going to be on Bowman in any opportunity, this is like the week for him.
Yeah.
It's one of his top tracks.
Okay, good. And Ryan, I'm gonna just let you close it out here. Monday morning headlines will read what, my friend?
Denny Hamlin's now the king of the concrete track. So it's the steep banked concrete monster. So yeah, I think Denny gets it done.
Okay, you think Denny gets it done? He called his shot on his podcast. He said, "Hey, listen, I'm going to go out there and win Dover." So, anybody looking to put some outrights, the driver's already calling it, which he did on his pod. So let's move into the rider fade segment. This is where we hear what the guys have to say from a head-to-head standpoint. Always love this because then we get to hear what maybe his opinions are. I'll give some of mine as well. And Phil, I'm going to let you kick it off. What head-to-head on the board did you find that really is giving you an edge this weekend?
Well, so talked about this on the podcast this week, and shout out to Mike from Left Turn Betting. He was my guest this week. He actually brought this to my attention. This is Chase Elliott. He was plus money, plus 100 over Christopher Bell. Now I'm trying to pull that up just to make sure that is still there. But Chase, to me, he is someone like Ryan just said, like Hendrick Motorsports. It's either them or JGR. And I kind of side with Hendrick, and Chase's statistics here to me stand out more than most. He is still plus money. He's plus 110, and Christopher Bell is minus 140. Now that's something that it just didn't make sense to me when we were talking about it on the podcast. And just kind of throwing out here some stats for Chase: 7 starts, a win, 4 top 5s, 4 top 10s, and 5 top 15s. He's got really good average starting position, 6.4 in 7 races. And, next gen car, he's got a win, 2 top 15s, average finish is 6.0, and just has been fast here. 4th overall in green flag speed. Ryan's model has him, ranked ahead of Chris Bell. And Bell is somebody that, when I saw him 10 or 12 to 1, I was thinking how can I make that work? But in a head-to-head situation where I'm getting plus 110, where I'm seeing Chase ahead of C Bell in various statistics here, almost every single one, I'm like, damn, plus 110 seems pretty good in a matchup. So I'll roll with Chase and kind of take the odds.
Yeah. What do you think, Ryan? You riding that or fading that?
I'd ride that too. I can kind of go right into mine too, which is also a head-to-head against Christopher Bell. So this one we have as one of the best values in our sim center on Win the Race, and it's Denny Hamlin minus 130 over Christopher Bell. This number was a little better to start the week, but I think I can check it, but I think as of we started this, it was minus 130. I'd still take it. We have a fair at minus 175, and so the difference here to me is just if I do think it's going to be JGR versus HMS, then I don't want to be wrong on that, of which one's going to be stronger. So just stay within the same team here and the driver that I think is going to be stronger no matter what at the same track. So, and that's Denny Hamlin over Christopher Bell. So Denny's been much more, his results haven't always been there here, but there's a lot of shit that has gone wrong for him that I guess it could still go on, but I don't really want to bet like that. I want to bet on the speed and how he's truly done here. Meaning, looking at my true performance ranks, Denny is number 1 in this package this year. He was number 1 in this package last year. Right. And he has, I think, 9 out of the 16 races last year. He had a top 5 true performance rank in this package. So just the consistency really is there. He just has to get the finish. And minus 130 over Christopher Bell. Then when the Sims say it should be minus 175, I love it.
Yeah. I like the Phil. Remind me again, who was yours? Yours Chase was obviously plus money. Who was he going up against?
C Bell. So
C Bell. So a little fade here on C Bell. So what is, and either one of you can chime in here, what was the statistic or what was it with Bell that we really want to fade him? Obviously, these two drivers you guys feel very strong about, but what is it about Bell that we're like, hey, we want to stay away from?
To me, it's not fading Bell. It's that I think Denny can win. So it's gotcha. I think one guy is who I would project to lead laps and have a chance to win the race. So even if Bell has a top 10 finish in a great day, I don't think it'll be as great as Denny's day.
Thank you.
And my response is similar. To me, it was, I saw the odds. Chris was minus 140 over Chase, and that was confusing to me. So I wanted to dig into it a little bit more. And if it was flipped, I probably would just be no play. because Chase just seems like he's statistically on paper a better driver at Dover than Christopher Bell. A little smaller sample size, but it's not exactly like hating on Bell. I think he could easily score a top 10 this week. I just think Chase sets up well at Dover, as he's proven many times in the past. So that's what it's.
He has a much better pit crew as well. Number one in my ranks so far this year. So I think, we could see that come into play here, some track position type of things. And if he's going to gain or even maintain a position, I like Chase Elliott there. And Hamlin. Both of them have elite pit crews.
Yeah, no, that's good. I'm glad that I asked. I was trying to put myself in the position of people that are listening and figure out what kind of a question I could ask there. So you guys answered that perfectly. I appreciate it. So then let's do this. Let's move into the position prop segment. I really am curious what you guys have to say, because Dover is such a unique racetrack where it's a 1 mile concrete bank. Phil, have you ever been to Dover?
No, just driving to the shore.
Phil, you gotta get there.
I want to go. My buddy's got VIP tickets this week through like NASCAR, like won like a sweepstakes or whatever. And he's like, "You want to go?" I'm like, "Oh, it's my son's like 3rd birthday. Like I can't pull it off." But
okay, that's fair. That's a fair response. But I was going to say, the one thing that's really cool about Dover, and a couple years ago, I was able to experience this with one of the driving instructors. We were going a $170, 10 laps, and it is just it's an amazing place where you have to have a lot of cojones to be diving in, holding the bottom, coming off. It's just like you slide up against the wall. But it really goes to what you guys are saying from the Toyota and Chevy camp, where we've seen that's the strength of these guys right now, where they are a lot stronger drive off and everything in between. So, Ryan, how about for you? What have you found from a position prop standpoint? Are we going somewhere with JGR? Are we going somewhere with HMS? Or are we going elsewhere?
Let's go with I already talked about Denny. There's one that I really like for Denny too, top 5 somewhere, but I'll go Tyler Reddick plus 130 for a top 10 on Fanatics.
Okay.
And so Reddick is one. I'll just say this too. I'm betting Reddick over Kyle Busch as well. So I have notes for both. But
give it to me.
You said so Dover's such a unique track. Yes, this is true. So, but one thing that hasn't changed is they're using the same tire code as last year. They're actually going to get to qualify this time, which is nice. And I think Reddick can qualify decent enough here.
Yeah.
But the only thing that I think has changed from 23 to 24 is that Tyler Reddick is much better. He's faster in this intermediate package. He's been unreal this year. He just had the one hiccup at Bristol, but that's a lot of people had some pretty big hiccups at Bristol. So try to throw that out. He's had race-winning speed in the other 2 races. Should have won Texas. And I know this is nothing like that, but when we're comparing last year to this year, and we're on the same tire code, and we think Tyler Reddick's stronger, he started inside the top 10 last year and never really left. He ran over over 50% of his laps inside the top 10, and he started 7th, finished 7th. So I really don't see what the difference would be this year. And we even had people get him plus 150 on Fanatics for a top 10. I thought that was a great price.
Wow.
But it's still 130, and I easily see him doing this more than half the time. We have this fair in the Sims at minus 106, so anything plus money here in Reddick top 10 I really like.
Okay, so Reddick top 10, I like that as well. I think that there's definitely a pathway there. Did you say you have another one?
Well, I have him. I just said I had another head-to-head in mind too, which was him over Kyle Busch. I did bet that already. Okay. Reddick minus 115 over Kyle Busch, and that was mainly that. Just to talk about that quickly, it's kind of the same thing I'm saying is like I don't look at really Kyle Busch's JGR stats here. Look at what he did last year, where he was gifted the pole because of the no qualifying or whatever, and he couldn't even finish top 20. So
yeah.
And then Reddick's runs with AC or RCR in the same car or same team is just they weren't that great either. So I just think Reddick's in a much better spot right now. And I mean, their speed is not even close. Like Reddick has just been light years ahead of him so far. So and his pit crew is way, way better.
Yeah. Busch is an interesting individual to talk about, because I know there's so many people now jumped on the same train that I think we've been on. I feel like I jumped on it a couple weeks ago, where just gonna avoid Busch at all costs, and he ballooned up to like 40-1. I think it was Martinsville. Was he near 50-1 at one point? So he's going to be an interesting guy, especially as we move into some of these tracks where not just Dover, but then when we go to Kansas and Darlington and Charlotte, like we are going to know what RCR is all about at those weeks. And if they run 15th to 20th, then we know easily going forward, this team is just, they don't have it. It's not a talent thing. It's a speed thing. So Phil, what about you? What have you found from the position prop market?
Well, I do want to talk about that, but do you mind, Derek, if we workshop something real quick?
Yes, I love
because I want to
workshopping.
play off of what, I want to play off of Ryan, what he just said there in a second, because
Yeah.
I came into this with a question, and it was about kind of how we feel about KFB tonight.
Okay.
And he answered the first question right off the bat. Like, if you liked him, I think you would have probably taken him over Reddick. But if you don't like him this week and you're taking Reddick, what do you feel about this bet, guys? Stewart Haas Racing over RCR minus 115. It's essentially 4-on-1. And if you are discrediting or discounting Kyle, I mean, this could be a bloodbath. I'm not saying that Stewart Haas is like, unbelievable by any means, but you're giving me four bullets in the chamber that all of which could kind of surprise and finish like top 15. Any given week, like randomly, the other three might finish like outside the top 30 any given week. But what do you think about that? If you're not
Yeah,
high on Kyle?
I can't get those. Is that Caesars?
Yes.
Yeah, unfortunately they don't show up in New York, but I would probably take that. What is the number on that?
It's minus 115. They're even split.
Yeah, I would probably take that. You like you said, you get 4 drivers to 2, but this is also if there was any place to consider Barry, it's here. I mean,
Mhm.
this is his playground. So he either wins or finishes second here. And he had a run in it was an HMS car last year, but didn't he finish 10th?
Yeah.
So I think, I would consider Barry over KFB at this point if that was just a head to head. So
Wow.
I don't even count Austin Dillon in this equation, but you could also have a decent run from Gragson. Briscoe in the intermediate package is
Mhm.
like night and day compared to last year. Last year was a complete joke. This year he's been decent. It's nothing great, but we're talking about Kyle Busch here. There's nothing
Mhm.
great there either. Even when Kyle Busch gets a fast car, something goes wrong. Like, I don't know. You get 4 drivers against 2, even money, I'd probably take it.
Good stuff. Yeah. We talked about that on the pod with Mike last night, and I had it pinned in my head. I wanted to bring it up tonight in a certain way, and you got it going. So I'm glad we talked about it. So sorry to divert there, Derek, but
No, it's fine.
yeah. So as far as a placement prop that I had in mind, spoke a lot on the podcast about Alex Bowman, and looking through all of the different books. I know that not every person has access to Bet365, but they had him at minus 120 last night when I took it. Now it's minus 130. I still think that's pretty good when you consider he's like minus 160, minus 175 in other places. So if you do have access to that, he is someone that I feel like we're going to hear a lot about Bowman this week from any gambling podcast or even the broadcast, because he is in Hendrick equipment. This is a track that he performs really well at. In the last 7 races, he's been here 6 times with 1 win and 5 top 5s, 6.2 average finish. That's second in NASCAR in that time span. And then in the next gen era, he's only started once because of his injury, but he finished 5th in that race. So this is clearly just a track that he enjoys. And I always make the joke, like, Bowman kind of sneaks up on you when you don't expect it and you didn't bet him. If he sneaks up on you this weekend, you're not really keeping your head on a swivel. Like, he's coming. Like, this is a track that he is performed well at, or has performed well at in the past. So a top 10, like originally I was looking at top 5 numbers because I didn't like the numbers for top 10s, but Bet365 kind of hanging that out there, minus 130 tonight. I still think that's worth a play if you can get to a state that has access to that one.
Yeah, that's interesting. I was surprised a little bit. And I know we talked just briefly about Fords, but I was surprised nobody mentioned anything yet about Chris Buescher. Are you guys on Chris Buescher in any way? He scored his last 2 races at Dover in the Next Gen Era, scored top 10s. Is there anything there for you guys that you like, you don't like? Because that was a name that I felt like maybe throughout the community was maybe just kind of talking about a little bit, maybe some rumblings. Anything there for you guys? It's okay if
I don't
not.
mind it. I know Greg was on that top
Okay.
10. If you can get a good number on a top 10, I'm not opposed to it.
Yeah.
I think 2 years ago he won the pole here. That was
Yeah.
Good point.
we didn't qualify in
Yeah,
23 and we didn't
2022.
qualify in 21, but in 22 we
Correct.
did, and that
Yep,
motherfucker won the pole.
they
So
did.
I don't know. I mean, I
My
don't know.
take,
It's a tough one. It's not one that I'm
Okay,
like beating down the door to go bet, but
sure.
I would definitely look into it. I think Greg took it too, top 10. So it's out. Yeah,
Yeah.
I could see it.
Phil?
my take on it was, early in the week, I actually kind of liked a couple folks in a head-to-head against them. We don't have
Okay.
to go through that whole song and dance, but if we liked Busher, I was probably going to take him post-practice qualifying because of
Okay.
what Ryan just said. Like, if he's fast, then we'll see it. And then at that point, we can adjust and we can see what's out there at that point, whether it's like a head-to-head or top 10 will probably be smashed at that point. But you can make an adjustment, knowing that he's fast. If I take him for a top 10 at a number that is iffy now and he goes out and puts the car like 20th, then I'm like, oh shit. Like
Mhm.
he's not one of the guys that I feel like can start bad and get through the field, but maybe I'm wrong. So I'm waiting to
Yeah.
see what he can put together this weekend.
Yeah, I'm very curious about him in general. Big Ross, good hearing from you again, man. He says he thinks that you can get down on him after post practice qualifying. Totally understand that. I think if I can get him at plus money, I might jump on that. And Brian Twining asked a question, and I think it's really good for everybody listening right now, especially on the YouTube side of things. If you have questions, ask them because I'm going to get them up here, and then we're going to be able to kind of go back and forth. We have some time here throughout this episode where we're really able to hear from you, the listener. So Brian, he's asking any leans on Bubba Wallace, top 10 plus 220. Plus 210 on FanDuel, easy for me to say. Also posted the over under at 14.5 on Caesars. Ryan, I'm going to start with you. What's your thought there on the top 10 price plus 210 on FanDuel? And then Phil, I'm going to come to you.
Well, I saw his secondary post here too, like the over under 14 and a half.
Okay.
I'd
Yep.
probably, I mean, according to our Sims, and the Sims have been freaking money on these over unders. I'm just so
Yep.
mad I can't do them in New York, but we would take the over 14 and a half.
Okay.
That would be minus 132 in our book.
Okay. So you take the over there. What about you, Phil?
I agree. I mean, a top 10 is asking a lot, I feel like, of Bubba. He hasn't done it in 7 starts in the last 7. And his best finish was 11th, so he's flirting with it a few races back, but last year he finished 12th. I mean, I think over would probably be more likely, like Ryan just said. So I'm not
Okay.
really on the Bubba train this weekend, even though I watched the Netflix documentary all the way out to Phoenix, and I'm like
Oh,
gassed up on the guys they featured in that one. I'm holding the bias back from the
that
Netflix, John.
that was the first time you watched it?
Yeah, I held it out
You're
for
like
that.
9 months behind everybody.
Yeah, I know. I thought it'd be
That's
fun to
I
watch
haven't
on the
seen it
plane.
yet.
all right.
Yeah,
All right.
I
So
gotta watch it.
Phil can attest to it. It's definitely worth. Right. You said he got me
it
fired
was a
up.
fun watch. It was a fun
Yeah.
watch.
Yeah. It's cool. It was good to see something well done, not like goofy or comical in any way. So awesome. Okay. So I hope that answers your question there, Brian. And again, anybody that has anything out there, make sure you ask. Michael, good to see you, my friend. Glad you're joining us here tonight. And yeah, so then let's move into the outright portion of the show where I'm really kind of curious to hear what you guys have to say. This is the Victory Market presented by Victory Fuel, drinkvictory.com. Promo code front stretch, FRONTSTRETCH. Phil, why don't you kick us off with the Victory Fuel, drinkvictory.com. Go, my friend.
So for the outright, yeah, I mean, I feel like I could dip down lower if we wanted to get a little bit further down for Chase. You know, we kind of already talked about Chase, but he's somebody that I'm interested in at a plus 1,200 number for Chase. That is pretty intriguing to me. I kind of ripped off his stats earlier, so I don't want to like beat that horse again, but a little shorter than that. I think Ross Chastain is definitely someone that would probably be worth having on your card. He's just straight up fast in these last 2 years here, and it's tough to see him come and lay an egg in practice and qualifying and get him at a better number on race day. So Ross Chastain, his best number right now is 8-1 on Bet Rivers, 7-1, 750 in other places. Some may find that to be short, but fastest green flag speed in the last 2 next gen races here. He's one of, or he is the only one to finish top 5 both races and the next gen car. So he's got this figured out. And I think it's worth having him on your card in some way, shape, or form. So I'll call him out for a win here.
I like that you called him out. What about you, Ryan?
Well, I talked about Denny earlier, so I'll just go right with his teammate, and I know Phil mentioned him too about go with Truex. I know it seems like duh, because he won here last year, same tire code, all that shit. But he's really, really strong right now. In this intermediate package as well, and this is not just a short-term thing this season. It's last year too. I had him 4th best in the entire year in true performance, and it's like what I said with Hamlin too. He had only Hamlin and Byron had more top 5 true performances in the intermediate package last year than Truex. So I like those spike weeks, and I think that's what Phil said too. Is like he's either finishing 1st or 2nd, or something goes wrong. So, and this is a track where he's won 12% of his races here, which it's only 4 wins, but you look at those percentages, it's pretty high. Only Chase Elliott, who has 20 less races here, so a smaller sample, he's won 2 of his 13.
Uh-oh. Well, I think we lost him. He was in a good thought there. So Ryan, I appreciate that. Anybody that is listening live, they can screenshot what Ryan looks like right now as he's frozen like a statue. So he was giving out some good statistics there. Phil, I'll just throw this to you because there's some good stuff.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I cut out for a second. Yeah,
you're frozen.
What's the last thing you heard? I'm sorry.
That's fine. You were I
Elliott.
think yeah.
So Elliott's won 15% of his races, but it's 20 less in that sample size. And Jimmy Johnson's won like almost 30% of his races here or something, which is just so dumb. Like that dominance. But yeah, Truex, of the active drivers that have a large sample size here, Truex has the highest winning percentage here. And that dates back to, furniture team as well. So it's whoever he's with, he's great at Dover.
Yeah.
And that 12% is right in line with the number of 7-1 where I got it. I think he's 7-1 still on Bet Rivers. If anyone can get any money down there, they let me get a half unit surprisingly. But yeah, and our Sims have it fair at plus 564. So all that considered, where I rank him before the race, how he comes out in the Sims, just how dominant he's been here. Same tire, he won last year. Yeah, I'll put a half unit on 7-1.
Okay, so I appreciate you coming back and delivering there for us. That was awesome. So what do you guys think about this? And I'm seeing some chatter here about maybe Ricky Stenhouse at all, flyer option, maybe a top 10. Anything you like there, Phil? Or is that something he has a top 5, as the guys were pointing out back a couple years ago? Finished 2nd, I believe, if I saw correctly. And any thought?
Yeah, he finished 2nd. Who won that race? Was it Larson? He was chasing down, but yeah, I mean, Stenhouse has these tracks where he like sneaky kind of pops into the top 10 every now and then, and Dover's one of them. I mean, 2 top 10s in the last 7 races. That's as long as you have good expectations, because it's not a situation where it's like 2 top 10s, but like 6 top 15s. Like he's like right there. He's got 3 top 15s, like not exactly on it and flirting with it. But as long as you have good expectations, like, hey, this is a sprinkle, this is a shot in the dark. He's someone that has done it. In the next gen car. I think I can't remember that race in particular, but I have to imagine there was some strategy involved in that or some luck. But that's the kind of stuff those teams need.
Yeah, without watching it back, it was 2022. So was Dover like one of those weird tire races or something, and he just survived, or what? Because it's the finishing order is real wonky. Looking at the whole thing top to bottom.
Well, yeah, the finishing order. Yeah, so Chase Elliott won. You were talking about maybe it was Larson, Phil, but Chase Elliott won that race. And if anybody remembers, Ross actually was in fourth, and Martin Truex was in third, going down the backstretch. They kind of touched a little bit, spun Martin into the wall, so everybody got to move up a spot. Martin ended up finishing 12th, I believe it was. That was an interesting race. I think if I remember correctly, there were a lot of long green flag runs. I mean, guys like Eric Jones, again, you have to remember this is the first year of the Gen 7. He scored some stage points. Alex Bowman looked really good. Chris Buescher would have been a little bit of out of nowhere for him. So I don't remember if there was a tire issue or anything like that at that race, but seeing a guy like that, I didn't know, maybe even you, Ryan, like what's your sim center say, what is fair for Martin or Ricky Stenhouse Jr. as like a top 10 price?
Let's look at it right now. So he is.
It's good TV, good radio.
Top 10, sorry. Yeah, so we would have it. Let's see, the best number that we have on here is like 470, and we would have it fair at 670. So nothing that would probably take.
Okay.
We used to, back in the day, as early as 1 year ago, you could probably find a 670 top 10 on Stenhouse, but not in today's landscape.
Yeah. No, okay, that's good. Well, I thought that would go ahead, Phil.
I was just commenting. That's a fact. That's the world we live in now.
It's true. Okay, so anything else there, boys, when it comes to outrights, or should we move on to the best bets, best values, as Phil likes to call them? Let's do that. Let's move into that then. Phil, I'm going to let you rip with it first. Best bet, best value. What have you found on the board here for us this week?
All right. Well, I've got an off the board bet here to throw your way.
I love it.
And then when we toss it to Ryan, I'll see if I can think of anything else for the Cup Series. But this is a Friday race at Dover. ARCA.
You got ARCA?
General Tire 150. Okay. I had a notification in my phone.
Okay.
From months ago that said, and it just popped up on Monday.
I know what it says. I know what it says.
William Saurez at Dover this week. I was watching a video before Daytona talking about the truck series schedule that he was running and just talking about the schedule overall. And in the video, they said, now focus on your ARCA schedule. Is there any track you're looking forward to getting back to? And he did not hesitate and said, Dover, like a maniac. And she was like, oh, really? Why? He goes, we let one slip last year. It's on my mind. I am circling that race. I am focused. We run so well there. I am going to win Dover. And I was like, holy shit. This is like, aside from, like how he's been doing this year or whatever, I don't even know how he's doing in ARCA right now. I just had it written down, had it in my phone. It popped up. He's plus 250 on Bovada to win that race. He is the favorite, slight favorite to win. Bet it and forget it. William Saurez Friday. And you'll come back to your account and be like, where the hell did I get this money? Oh, ARCA. That's right. Okay.
What was the price?
Plus 250. It's short.
Plus 250. Okay. So he's the favorite there.
Next guy's like plus 300 or whatever. But yeah.
All right. Ryan, good luck following that up. Do you have any ARCA head-to-heads or anything that you want to talk about in the Sim Center?
I don't. No, that's a tough one to follow up.
That is a tough one.
I'll say
that's really good.
So let's go off the wall again here, and this is shout out to the Stacking Denny's podcast too. I listened to that earlier today in the car, and they mentioned Chastain futures bet for championship at 20 to 1, which is still available, and you might be able to find better out there if you search real hard. But if you're someone who loves Chastain this week and thinks that he can win, rather than take him 8-1, just take him 20-1 to win the championship. And he's
Mhm.
awesome at Phoenix. And if he, he's probably getting in the playoffs anyways. But,
Yeah.
I don't know. I like that. If we're gonna get weird with this segment, which I kind of like, take a 20-1 Chastain futures bet, and I think you'll be happy with yourself come late in the playoffs.
I like that. Yeah, I like how this segment is, like you said, Ryan. It's getting weird. Phil, what else did you think about it? Did you come
Well,
up with anything else for us?
let me just comment on what Ryan said there. Like
Yeah.
that's a perfect mentality, right? Because if you think he's
Yep.
going to win, then that number is going to go away. I did a similar thing with Tyler Reddick early in the year. My brother-in-law and I took him at like 18-1. We said he's going to win one of these damn races. I think it was before Coda, and his championship number was just still sitting there. And you know what it is today? 12-1. So like, if you think he's going to win one of these races, like grab one of those, because Reddick's another guy that I think if we get to Phoenix, like he could be a threat. So yeah, I like that mentality of trying to find value on those guys deeper now before they win a race, because once they do, it's gone. And you could still, I would feel comfortable taking, who did you just say? Chastain. I would feel fine taking Chastain at whatever his post win number is, I'm sure, because they're not going to be as low as like Byron or Larson, but you'd feel like you got kind of gypped if you missed out on it, or you feel like you're kind of FOMO. So I love that mentality. I think that's a great play.
I think if he wins, you'd probably see like 12-14-1 or something, around there. So, and it would never change. It would never go higher than that. So, yeah, I don't know. That's good. That's a good conversation. I did not know we were going to Arca and that, but that's awesome.
No, I didn't know Arca either. Does Arca have not Arca? Does Bovada have anything else with Arca, like head to heads or finishing props or anything like that? Or
well, if I'm outing myself as a total degenerate,
yes,
a specialist, definitely not. I have taken Arca head to heads on Bovada earlier this year. It was Atlanta, or no, it was one of the big races. I don't think it was Atlanta. Maybe Daytona.
We'll call it Daytona.
But I think that was just, I haven't seen it since, and I haven't really looked for it since. It's not available right now. I did look to see if they had like any other options for this week.
Wow.
They do not. So yeah, I think that might have been just a one-time thing for the big race.
I never thought I would look at Bovada and say, hey, the Arca series is racing and Brent Cruz is 12-1. That might be a bet I like to take. So interesting. I mean, I like what you're saying with Williams Walsh. I get it, because you talked about it on the Truck Series podcast before. So I knew exactly
that. Yep.
I knew exactly where you were going with that, which is great. So yeah, that's interesting that you gave us that tidbit. I'll be curious to hear. And if you find anything, Phil, like if it's something you think about and they drop head to heads or something, let us know. I think that would be really cool. Really cool to highlight. So yeah, that's where else do you guys want to go? Anywhere else? Did we touch on everything from head to heads or best bets, all that? We're all good there.
That was good. What's our DK features? I didn't know. Oh, go ahead, Phil. What were you gonna say?
Well, I was just going to comment. So I had my manufacturer's bet. Since we have some time to kill here, I'll just mention my manufacturer bet streak was snapped. I was on a streak since Las Vegas. I took Ford last week, had 1, 2, 3 with like 100 yards to go. Felt like it was in good shape, and it is now snapped. So I'm going back to the Chevy well this weekend for anyone who gives a shit. Plus 130 is the number for Chevy, and the mindset is it's pretty much dead on with what Ryan mentioned earlier. To me, this is a Hendrick versus JGR slobber knocker, and we're getting Chastain in there as well. And hey, if Kyle Busch comes to play by the grace of God, then you got an extra guy there who used to be good at this racetrack as well. So you're kind of getting some extra guys, and I don't think I could trust all 4 of the JGR guys like I do all 4 of the Hendrick guys, if that makes sense. So you're getting kind of a bonus deal with the Chevy crew. So that was sorry, Big Ross. It was brutal. That was tough. It was a tough one to swallow, that's for sure, to lose the streak like that. But we got to get back on it. And I think
you're a man. You're a man's man, though, for counting it for drafting tracks. That's a manly thing to do. I won't count it in my heart. You still have the streak in my heart.
Well, I appreciate it.
I'll also say this about you, Phil. I'll give you your flowers a little bit here too, because you said that this past weekend was your first weekend where you didn't accumulate any units. You kind of had a week where it didn't pan out for you, but that was the first week
Yep.
all year, right?
All year. Yeah, we were
That's
negative
crazy.
negative 3.85 units. It was the first
Pretty
time
good.
we took one on the chin.
Yeah,
Daytona, we were like just above. But yeah, other than that, we've had a great year so far on the pod, and it's okay. And that's literally the reason. I know we're backtracking to Dega, but literally the reason why we all are saying like to each
hmm
other, like this is the race where we want to temper it down. And it could have been way worse. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like if I had not listened to all of that advice and just gone all in, that would have been bad. But
yeah.
hey, it's doable. It's mitigated.
Well, with that being said, then let's move into the DK features because, Ryan, you were asking me a good question. What are the DK features this week? And really, DK hasn't given us much. I mean, they gave us 5 things and we already talked about them, which I kind of figured we would. The one we did not talk about, and I was kind of teasing this, there was a reason why, was the Chris Buescher -120, Brad Keselowski -110. Where are you guys going? I'm on Chris Buescher. What do you think? This is going to be in our 3 head-to-heads here.
I kind of
So,
meshed the um like my pre-practice and qualifying ranks, which puts a lot into that, and then our sim
yep.
center, which puts a lot into that. These guys are literally back to back, but I have Busher ahead, so I'm going to
hmm
take Busher in this head to head.
Okay. Same here. What about you, Phil?
Yeah, I wanted to get to the window with Brad, but I can't find a way to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, just typical like green flag speed. He's got him beat by quite a bit from
Yeah.
the last 2 races here, and I was kind of expecting to see a little bit more from Brad in like the full on history, like
hmm
last 7 races or so. 7 for 7 for top 20s, but I don't think a top 20 is going to get it done. Busher has proven that he's pretty legit, so I'll follow with you guys on that one.
Okay, so you follow us with us there. What we'll do is this. I'm going to give you guys some other, because we talked about these already. We talked about the Denny Hamlin versus Chris Bell. I was looking at that. We all kind of went to the same side there. I was looking at the Chase Elliott, Ryan or Kyle Larson side. Tyler Reddick was one I was thinking about talking about versus Kyle Busch. You talked about that, Ryan. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait to see what else populates, because typically we have about 10 to 12 that we're able to kind of spew. Here this week, we only have 5 so far, which I don't know why we only have 5. Maybe because Bet Rivers is the sports book partner of Dover this weekend, especially on Saturday. Maybe they're just getting shelled out a little bit. I don't know. So we'll keep that in mind. But I wanted to talk about that Chris Buescher comment or head to head, because I thought that could maybe play in. But we're all on the same side there as well. So is there anything else, any of books or anything like that kind of comes to mind where maybe we should be focusing our attention? I know we have a couple minutes left. We can get out of here early, but didn't know if either one of you, or if any questions pop or rise from the commenters that might give us something to talk about. But just thought I'd throw something out to you. Anything else there?
I saw like earlier in the week, which is interesting because I think about all the guys we talked about to win. It's all odd numbers, but that got up to like -170 or something. But if you caught that number early, that was great. You get Chastain and Larson and Elliott and Hamlin and Truex and all the guys. So um, I don't know. I'm curious to see like if those guys are fast in practice but don't necessarily qualify well, if
hmm
the odd number bet comes back at a relatively decent bettable number.
hmm
And then I'll be looking at that.
What about you, Phil? Anything else to add at all?
It's funny you're going with the numbers game here because one of the bets that we talked about on the pod was the over under number.
hmm
We had over under, the number that was set was well, they had 2 numbers set. I'm trying to pull it up right now. I don't know why I'm struggling to do that. Here we go. So the one that's like dead on is
hmm
16 and a half, and the over is -110, under is -120. But if you want to essentially just get rid of Blaney, you could take +120 for under 11. So you're getting Denny, you're
Okay.
getting Chase,
Yep.
you're getting Kyle Larson, you're getting Chastain. It's a pretty good little stable there for +120 under 11 and a half. So
Mm.
that was a bet that we talked about. I thought it was interesting. And again, if Kyle Busch wants to actually get back to his old ways, you get him too. But
You get Austin Cindric in that too. Don't forget.
and Austin Dillon. So
you get both Austins. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Well, Barry. How about that? Barry. You got Barry. If he steps up.
Yeah, there you go.
Corey LaJoy.
Yeah. We're just naming all the guys.
You're just naming all the guys.
All the dudes.
Yeah. So pretty interesting one.
I want to say this because Seth is making some good comments. Seth Wilcock, who owns In Between Media, allows us to perform this show on the platform. And I do want to say this because he mentioned this on one of his X posts. So go check them out over there. But In Between Media is doing a giveaway this weekend with the following diecast at Dover. As long as they hit 1,000 subscribers, which they are very close, they're going to do the Tyler Reddick 2019 124 scale, the Ty Majeski 2019 124 scale, Bailey Curry 2020 124 diecast there as well. So enter by subscribing to the channel and typing in subbed SUBBED in the live chat or video comments, and that's how you're going to be entered. So now is a good time for anybody listening, especially this late in the game of the show. Make sure you do that. Again, subscribe and put the word subbed, and you'll be entered to that contest to get them to 1,000 so we can do some cool things. But also they're giving away some pretty cool hardware this weekend with that, all those drivers. So I know, Phil, I know you're a big diecast guy. I'm starting to get into the mix a little bit. I got the only signed diecast I got is a Kyle Larson 2023 car there. So I'm trying to get in the game a little bit as well. I know you go to Target and you still find all the goodies. I still see pictures now posting on X where it's like all these incredible finds from the Target shopping center where there's these die casts. So how about this? Any last comments or thoughts? Phil, I'll let you kick it off and then we'll let Ryan close. Anything you got and tell everybody how they can support what you got going.
Yeah, no other comments. Excited to be, like Ryan said, back to a typical racetrack. Dover's kind of my neck of the woods, so we're getting some of the stuff like on the radio around here, which is kind of cool. So yeah, I mean, Full Tank with Phil's name of the podcast. My episode this week, we had a new guest on. His name's Mike. He started up an account called Left Turn Betting, leftturnbetting.com. He's just getting going. He's been putting out great stuff on Instagram. That's where he really lives. So give him a look. Really good content videos, good model that he's working with himself. So give us a look there this past week, this episode. And Full Tank Phil on Instagram and Twitter. And good luck this weekend. Looking forward to it.
I like it. What about you, Ryan? I always appreciate hearing your comments and thoughts. What do you got for us? How can everybody support you and everything that you got going over at Win the Race?
Yeah, thanks everyone for listening and commenting. It makes the show a lot of fun. It's just wintherace.info. Anything, DFS betting stat related for NASCAR. So there's something for everyone there. Wintherace.info. And I'm always on, X or whatever too, if you have any questions about the site or whatever. And the email's right on there too. If you're wondering about signing up and wanting to know more, just let me know.
I like it. I want to see more people saying subbed. I see Scott is on it. He said subbed. He's subscribed to the channel. Let's help Seth out a little bit and do that. Charles Nelson said he got a pair of those Driven sunglasses, boys. Hopefully you did too. Ryan, you said that you might be.
You sent me
I did.
Yeah, you sent me the code. Yeah, I'm going to get some.
Boom. Good. Look at that. 20% off right there. FS20 Driven sunglasses. Really cool. So Charles, make sure you shoot me a DM on X or find me somehow. I want to see if I can get you something else. So I see Troy just hit sub. So that's good. Charles did it. Good. So we're getting some guys in here. Well, guys, I really appreciate it. I can't thank you again. It was fun, over the last few weeks and not being able to do the show. It was an outlet for me personally that I was looking forward to so much. Always love conversing and talking about different strategies and hearing what everybody in the comment section has to say as well. So looking forward to Dover this week. Can't thank you guys enough. Again, make sure you follow me at X at Derek Yoder _. Follow the NASCAR Betting Preview Show at NASCAR BPS on there as well. Make sure you support these guys, Ryan and Phil and Seth of In Between Media. They work their tails off each and every week. Make sure you subscribe to the podcasts here as well, especially Phil's with him and doing his interview with Mike. So a lot of fun. Can't wait till next week when we hit it again for Kansas. I love this stretch. Dover, Kansas, Darlington, and then we get a little break with the All-Star race, which I'll be in town for, and then go to the Coke 600. So make sure in this next stretch, if you're just getting into gambling for betting on NASCAR, this is the right time to do so. There's going to be so much money that has the opportunity to be made, especially with guys like this. And Mark, we wish you nothing but the best, man. So get well soon. And again, guys, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you next week as the series heads to Kansas.